Hello everyone, glad you can join me. It's Nan. My previous video was a flip through of my November junk journal. And first I wanted to show you this Cottage Core Vintage Mushroom Scrapbook paper, which is double-sided origami paper, 8.5 by 8.5, which I am using some of the paper, and as you can see, it's beautiful. And I did get it on Amazon. Inspired me to go ahead and try to do something different. So I know we're always looking for ideas to make new and quick things for our junk journal. So I have one for you today. Stay till the end so you can see the final results. I was looking through yesterday's page, wondering what I could do for it, and an idea popped up in my head. And I've probably mentioned this before, that I use a lot of my old calendars to create some of the ephemeral elements that I use within my books. And what I'm going to create today is, this is what I'm going to show you. And what I've done with some of these that will complement any junk journal. And since mine is mushroom themed related, it works. So I took my calendars and any other thing that I could find, and I created my own mushrooms. And maybe what would be better is if I showed you how I drew one of the mushrooms, because there are a variety of them, but they're not as complicated as you think in making them. So to start, let's create a mushroom first. And the simplest way that I can think of making one, I have this empty, it's not a spool of, well, it could be called a spool, I think. It's empty, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create the top part of the mushroom. Okay, we'll make them differently. And we'll start with the stem here. Find your center point here, and then just draw the stem on both sides. Very simple. And then the gills will be over here. And I'll show you in a second. That way, and then this, go over, and here, this is where the gills are going to be. And just make your lines going in this direction and just follow and keep going. And this is your little button top mushroom. You can make the stem as long or as short as you want. And the cap can either be round or freehand without anything. Just create a mushroom, and it could be lopsided, can be straight. Let's make the stem going this way. You can add another stem going that way and another one on that side, just to give you a general idea. No gills on the bottom, and then you can decorate the top if you want to. There's all kinds of mushrooms that you can create. Then you can create one in this manner. Let's do a closer cap here, and then just bring the stem down. And then we have 3 different stems. Easy to make, not complicated. And I learned how to make these simply by looking at some pictures on Yahoo in images. So I've shown you how to make a mushroom, and I want to show you what kind of mushrooms I made. I don't know what they're called, just mushrooms, fungi, all different shapes. So I made them in all different shapes and sizes out of all different materials. Macala paper, recycled calendars, which was most of the ones I made with. And if you take your, because I created patterns also, so if you take the pattern and turn it in the other direction, you're going to get 2 going in different directions, as you can see. You can do that also. Here's one made out of craft paper. This was the first one I made, and I didn't like the way it came out, so I thought, let me look at images and create some other. I created these small ones. Beautiful. I created this, and it's just basic. The top, you're just changing one specific thing, or making the cap a little larger or a little wider, the stem longer or shorter, depending. Wider, thinner. This is another one. This is a tiny button. There's one that's empty, which I'm going to do something with that. here's one. You can leave them as is, outline your mushrooms and leave them as is because I think they look great. So let me set those aside over here. And here are some bigger ones that I created out of calendar pieces. All out of calendar pieces and different shapes. And I filled up a little plastic bag, by the way, with a bunch of them that I have in here, and that's where they will be kept for future use. So like I said, I did make a pattern for each one so that whenever I run out, I can create my mushrooms again. So I'm going to set that aside and pretty much show you what I did with some of these mushrooms so that they have a little extra and look a lot nicer. So this one I just outlined. You can just outline since it already has a lot of color in it. This one I outlined the mushroom, but I also gave a little definition to the lines that were in the picture, added a little more color to it, and these little dots, imperfect dots there. So that's what I did with that one. And then I took one of the smaller ones and I added more dots to it. And this one I also, with a gel pen, that's with the Tombow water base color I added there. Set that aside. So I have another one here, which I used also the Tombow, but I wanted to add a little extra. So I'm adding little dots here and there so you can actually paint and decorate on these calendar pages. And just add a little more dots, create some more circles in there, and it becomes your own faux fodder. And like I mentioned, it's just an easier way, quicker way to create something for your books. And I like this one the best out of all of them. This one came out the cutest. So now I have this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline it real quick. And the harder you press on the paper, the more crooked your line is going to come out. So just let your hand lightly flow. And I'm heavy-handed when I paint and do things. So just let your hand flow very easily. I also have an issue with, I have to take breaks between what I create because of my hands too. So very lightly, and we will, let me see here, what can we do with this one? Well, I'm just gonna have to connect this here to here, and then what I'm going to do is, I want to give it sort of a, I'm gonna try 2 colors and see which one will look the best. Okay, that one's not showing up. I'm gonna need some extra markers, and that one either. So you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and make it a red. Let's make it red. I love the red ones with the white polka dots. So that's what we can do with this one. I hope you're all doing well. Weather here is, one day it's warm, next cold. We're just about gonna get hit with the cold weather pretty soon. Leaves are falling off of the trees. Others still have their leaves on top. Looks amazing, all the different colors. I didn't get much out this year. I didn't do much walking. Still dealing with the issue in my tendon in the legs, so, but I'm good. Thank God for that. I'm trusting, and grateful. Just blowing at it a little bit so that it dries up faster. And then just go ahead and make your little, and I won't do the whole thing because I have one more thing I want to do. Well, not one more, so I have some time at the moment to just get in here and do this, which is what I wanted to do to share with you. Okay, and then just put some little dots here and there and keep creating those circles. And if it's not dark enough, the white, you can use a white acrylic, or if you have any of your Posca pens, use that. But for the video purpose, I'm doing this pretty quick, at least trying to. If you have any comments, can you leave them below? I would love to hear from you. So if you want to color the bottom, you can. Use an acrylic. I'm sure there's a color there that I have, but I'm not going to paint that right now. So look at these, how cute they look. If you add more color to them, they are amazing. Or leave as is and you're good. Leave them at the, now you can see that's the calendar pieces. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside, because I'm actually going to create one on here with one of my patterns so that you can see. And I think I'll make the biggest one, so I'll get 4 to that. Okay, so this is my calendar. Gorgeous butterfly, I know. But I have so many different ones that I do want to cut this out. And I didn't, let me see which direction I'm going in to make sure I get it right. I don't want to go in the direction of the butterfly. I want to go against it. So let's see here. I usually use a marker, but I'm going to use the pencil today to outline. And then just outline your mushroom using your pattern. There goes. And then we'll cut that out. And I'm actually going to get 4 mushrooms from 1 sheet of paper. And any left over, you can make your little button ones with the side paper. And my scissors are a little wacky. My other one has too much glue on it, so I gotta figure out how to clean it. I was trying to use some, I saw a video where you can use aluminum foil to sharpen it, but it doesn't seem to have sharpened that much because I'm getting these little wonky edges on the mushroom, but that's okay. I just think that what you create in your own journals, in your own personal journals, anything goes. And I like grungy, I like those rough edges. Yeah, and the calendar is pretty thick, so I'm gonna take a few seconds to get this cut. And if you want to use this side too, you can also use that time. This side you have room to create on this side too, but I use the back part to just write some stats on it, on the weather and a few other things. The actual one that I used in my book. So let's see what we get when we turn it around. Voila. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I love this. This is gorgeous. Look at that. And use them any way that you want. And one way, I also did it with a paper bag. If you don't have all those calendars, use your paper bags. Okay, this will just make it thinner in your book, less bulk. And there we go. Paper bag mushroom. Can decorate it any way that you want. Paint works on it as well. So here I layered 4 pieces of book paper. Excuse anything that's written on there. I just grabbed the first book that I gutted and grabbed the papers. So we'll do the same thing. Go around it. Try to be as quick as I can. Smoothed it a little bit, and that's okay because all you have to do is go back. And there it is. And we will cut that out. Not every session is a perfect session when you sit down to create your ephemera or the elements you'll be using in your books. And here we go. And you can also decorate this and paint it and watercolor if you choose to. Wish I had more time to watercolor the paper. Coffee dye. Coffee dye your papers before you glue them down. Use newspaper. It'll work perfectly. And there is your paper mushroom. Glued down beautifully. Okay. And I showed you that I did use the Macala paper, same process. So I'll set that aside. And what I wanted to do was, I have this one here, beautiful. I loved it. I cut it out as neat as I could. And I also added paper on the inside. So what I wanted to do was make sort of a booklet tag for my book. You can sew around it if you choose to. Let me get that in the center, sorry. Let's see, right here. Right there. And I picked this little red one out to put in there. I call them gourmets. They're probably, I'm sure they're called something else. I know. So let's put it right there and see if it stays on. There we go. It is on. I am happy. You can actually take a piece of material if you don't have your crocodile and staple it on there. So the white doesn't show. You have to just twist your ribbon and then staple it on there. You can hang a tag from there. You can cut one of your smaller mushrooms out and add that there with a hole punch. Add that as a dangle there. The possibilities are endless. They are endless. So I picked this ribbon and this burlap string, I guess is what you would call it. And I will put that through there. And voila, I made basically a booklet tag out of that I can add to today's page in my book. And write whatever I choose to write on it. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So let me show you a few more. You can use those 12 by 12 pad covers also. They are already decorated. You can make a few of these, a few of those, any kind of mushrooms. Use tracing paper. Put the tracing paper on top of the paper and make an outline, cut it out, and then put it on a piece of thick cardstock and then cut it out and you have a permanent pattern. So, and then on this you can pretty much, if you want to outline this one, you can. I don't know if I want to. I like the way that it looks. I can take my distress ink and just distress the outside. I can take a piece of paper and put a label on there, scripture verse, maybe write words on top of it. Like I repeat that all the time. Possibilities are endless. Oh, I have a little butterfly right here. If I want to, I can add. So here it is. I went ahead and finished it. So I did add the butterfly and a few other little things to it. And I prepared the page. So I wanted to show you so you can get a look at it. I painted the page a darker blue. And I wasn't concerned about adding 2 coats. If you add 2 coats, of course, it'll be dark and it'll be perfect. So I like the way that it came out, and used one of my gel pens and just did some scribbly lines around the edges. So I'm going to add my booklet there. And I think it came up pretty good. Just a simple thing. And yet it creates such a beautiful, beautiful piece for any book. Thank you for joining me. Have a good one. Many blessings.